drone of the engines was the only constant in the dimly lit cabin. I gazed out the window, my mind adrift in the sea of clouds beneath us. The flight had been uneventful, the typical monotony of air travel. I leaned back in my seat, closed my eyes, and let out a long sigh. When I opened my eyes again, something was amiss. The man sitting across from me was gone. My heart skipped a beat and I jerked upright, my eyes darting around the cabin. Panic began to churn in my gut as I realized the truth. The plane was empty, save for me. "What the hell?" I muttered under my breath, my voice barely audible over the drone of the engines. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible. Could I have dozed off and missed the announcement to disembark? But that didn't explain how everyone had vanished. I blinked, hoping that my eyes were playing tricks on me. But when I opened them, more seats were empty. The flight attendants had disappeared, and an eerie silence had settled over the cabin. My heart pounded in my chest, and a cold sweat trickled down my spine. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky. There was no response, just the echo of my own words bouncing off the walls. I stumbled to my feet and made my way to the front of the plane. The cockpit was empty too, the controls unmanned. Fear clawed at my throat, threatening to choke me. I stumbled back into the cabin, my mind racing to find a rational explanation. My eyes fell on the emergency exit and a desperate idea took hold. Maybe I could open it and signal for help. But as I approached, I froze. The exit door was gone. In its place was a seamless expanse of cabin wall. It was as if the plane itself was mocking me, trapping me within its metallic embrace. I blinked again, my heart hammering against my ribcage. More seats were empty and the isolation seemed to tighten its grip. No, I muttered, pacing the aisle as panic surged through me. I couldn't be alone on this plane, it was impossible. But every time I blinked, more passengers vanished, as if each blink stole them away from existence. I fought against the compulsion to blink, my eyes burning as I tried to stay awake. I needed to keep my eyes open, to fight against whatever malevolent force was causing this. But the more I resisted, the heavier my eyelids became. My vision blurred, and a wave of dizziness swept over me. I couldn't fight it any longer. My eyes closed of their own accord, and when I opened them, the cabin was empty. I was alone. The plane was a hollow shell, a vessel adrift in the void. Desperation welled up within me, and I stumbled to my seat, gripping the armrests as if they were a lifeline. I had to stay awake. I had to find a way out of this nightmare. My mind raced, searching for a solution, a way to break free from whatever sinister trap I was caught in. With each blink, the plane seemed to close in around me. The walls grew tighter, the ceiling lower. Claustrophobia gnawed at my sanity, and I felt like I was being crushed by the weight of my own isolation. I had to find an escape, a way to end this torment. I blinked again, and as my eyes opened, I was met with an empty void. The cabin had disappeared, leaving me floating in darkness. Panic surged through me, and I thrashed, trying to break free from the suffocating emptiness. But there was nothing to hold on to, nothing to anchor me. Time lost all meaning as I drifted in the void, my mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Had I died? Was this some kind of afterlife? The questions taunted me, echoing in the emptiness. And then, just as suddenly as it had all begun, a faint glimmer of light appeared. I reached out, grasping at the light like a drowning man reaching for a lifeline. It grew brighter, warmer, until I felt a solid surface beneath my fingertips. My surroundings shifted, and I found myself back in the cabin of the plane. But it was different. The seats were whole, the lights were on, and the hum of the engines was a comforting symphony. I was no longer alone. Passengers sat in their seats engrossed in their conversations and activities. Relief washed over me and tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. I was back. I was safe. I blinked and the world remained unchanged. I blinked again, testing the waters, and still everything remained as it should be. I settled back into my seat, my heart still racing from the ordeal. What had happened? A nightmare, a hallucination. I may never know the truth, but one thing was certain. I would never take a simple blink for granted again.
Spring break was supposed to be a carefree escape, a chance to unwind and forget about the pressures of college. My friends and I had chosen a picturesque coastal town for our getaway: sandy beaches, clear blue waters, and endless days of fun. Little did we know that our pursuit of adventure would lead us down a dark and harrowing path. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow across the beach. Laughter and music filled the air as we set up a bonfire, the crackling flames dancing in rhythm to our excited chatter. Amidst the celebration, someone mentioned the Ouija board they had packed for fun. We gathered in a circle, our fingers resting lightly on the planchette. Nervous giggles erupted as we asked silly questions, the board seemingly responding with erratic movements. But as the night grew darker, a chill settled over us, and the laughter faded. "Is anyone there?" I asked tentatively, my voice barely a whisper. The planchette began to move, spelling out words that sent shivers down my spine. FEAR. I exchanged glances with my friends, unease tainting the atmosphere. As the night wore on, the board's responses grew more sinister. It claimed to be a lost soul, trapped between worlds, seeking a way to cross over. Goosebumps prickled my skin as I watched the letters form words that seemed to materialize from the depths of the unknown. Uneasiness turned to alarm when the planchette spelled out our names, one by one. The air grew heavy, and a feeling of dread settled in my gut. We hastily ended the session, but the ominous energy lingered like a storm cloud hanging over us. That night, our dreams were restless, plagued by unsettling visions of shadowy figures and echoing whispers. We awoke the next morning, our faces pale, our smiles replaced with anxious glances. The beach, once inviting and serene, now felt like an eerie expanse of uncharted territory. As the days passed, a sense of foreboding loomed over us. Strange occurrences became commonplace, objects moving on their own, whispers that seemed to rise from the ocean breeze, and inexplicable cold spots that sent shivers down our spines. It was as if the spirit from the Ouija board had followed us, seeping into our reality. Our camaraderie began to crack under the weight of fear. Arguments flared, accusations were thrown, and tensions stretched thin. I tried to convince my friends that we needed to do something, to find a way to break free from this haunting, but they brushed off my concerns, attributing everything to stress and imagination. One fateful night, as the moon cast a silvery glow on the water, we gathered around the bonfire once again. The atmosphere was somber, our laughter replaced by hushed conversations. The Ouija board sat before us, a menacing reminder of the darkness that had taken hold. Driven by desperation, I convinced my friends to try one more session, to confront whatever entity we had unwittingly awakened. The planchette moved with an unsettling urgency, spelling out a chilling message. One must pay for crossing the veil. A cold realization settled over me. The spirit sought a sacrifice, a way to satisfy its thirst for retribution. Panic welled up within us as the board spelled out the names of my friends, one by one. The planchette moved with a malevolent force, its movements swift and unrelenting. Terror filled their eyes as they realized the truth. The entity demanded their lives. I watched in horror as their gazes turned to me, the weight of their fear pressing down on my chest. In that moment, a decision was made. I would do whatever it took to save my friends, to break this curse. As the planchette spelled out my name, I offered myself as the sacrifice, tears streaming down my face. The atmosphere around us grew oppressive, the air thick with an otherworldly presence. I felt a chilling embrace, a touch that seemed to come from beyond the veil. In an instant, the world around me fractured, colors distorted, and a cacophony of voices echoed in my ears. I saw glimpses of shadows and memories, a montage of lives that had been touched by this malevolent force. And then, as suddenly as it had all begun, it stopped. I found myself back on the beach, the Ouija board before me. My friends stood beside me, confusion etched on their faces. They had no recollection of the sacrifice I had offered, the bargain I had struck with the spirit. Days turned into weeks, and the haunting ceased. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and laughter returned to our lives. But I couldn't forget the price I had paid, the darkness I had confronted to save my friends. The memories of that night would forever haunt me, a reminder of the thin line between the realms of the living and the dead,